Welcome to today's class. So the class for today will be on cell specialization. This is the third class in biology that we started from the scratch. That is introduction to biology. So this is the third lesson looking at cell specialization. Okay, so this is quite an important part where exams are concerned. Starting from here, that is where exams start from. And this part is important when it comes also to understanding other topics, because it has to be a repetition of what we have done. So biology, the way it is designed, we keep on building on concepts. So from where we started from, we keep on building. Today's class, let us look at cell specialization. So we can start. So please be able to confirm that you are able to get me clearly, that I'm audible to your end. So just be able to confirm. Just type in the comment section that you are able to get me so that we can proceed. Otherwise, we are looking at cell specialization. One of the characteristics of living organism, we said all living organisms are made up of cells. So now we need to look at now specialization of these cells. Okay, as we are going to look at them in detail. So let us start now. So as you know that a cell is a basic unit Okay. All right. Cells are made from already existing cells. Cells are made from already division. Now, from already existing cells by cell division, kind of cell division multiplies the cell. We are going to find two types of body cells and of course sex cells. Are multiplied by the process called of course sex cells, we are talking of meiosis occur in the body. Okay, so at first they are similar in size and structures. So when you talk of the cells in the body, not only focusing on so as we look at cell specialization, please let us just not narrow it down to let's say humans, but we are looking at generally plants and the animals. So at first the cells are similar in size and structure. Now, these cells need to perform different functions in the organism where they are found, and therefore they need to specialize. That is to develop certain feature that enable them to perform the functions. So you're saying in order to be suited for their functions, cells tend to specialize by undergoing change. And this change happens of the cytoplasm and in order to perform specific functions. So in order to be suited for the functions, cells tend to specialize by undergoing specific change in structure and chemical composition of the cytoplasm in order to perform. So this one is supposed to be in order to perform a specific function. Okay. Now, what are the examples of specialized cell that we are going to look at? Okay. Remember, they are all coming from just already existing cells. They multiply, mitosis take place, and now these cells that are produced, they tend to specialize by having different features that enable them to perform their functions. So in this case, what are the examples of a specialized cell that we are going to these? You need to know them, because from this, that is where now you find if you are going to come across a question on cell specialization, have a look at if it's among this list or should be among this list. If it's something that is outside, then I don't know what that might be. But for the sake of us preparing for the exams, I think this is what we can look at. Okay, so one, we have ciliated cells. One of the specialized cells, we have ciliated cells. We have root hair cell. We have xylem cells or xylem vessels, guard cells. We have nerve cells. We have muscle cells, white blood cells, and red blood cells. So these are some of the specialized, remember I said these are some of the specialized cells in both plants and that is, some are coming from animals, some are coming from plants, as we are going to discuss. So let us start discussing them in order. So we are going to start with ciliated cells. How do they look like? Okay, so I guess you are able to see this diagram right here. So please be able to confirm you are able to see what is right here. Ciliated cells. Okay, these are ciliated cells. Okay, so you can see they have here, if I were to draw just one of the cells here, it's like this. So they have finger-like projection on top here. These hair-like or finger-like projection on top. These are what you call, that is cilia. Okay, these are what you call cilia. Then of course they have also the nucleus. So we can point this one as the nucleus. Then we can look at also the outer part, which is the cell membrane. These are animal cells. Ciliated cells are animal cells, so we have the cell membrane outside. Then, of course, we have this inside part, which is a cytoplasm, okay, from the basic or from the function of, from the parts of the animal cell. So we have this finger-like projection here on top called cilia. Then we have the cell membrane, we have the cytoplasm, and we have the nucleus, okay? Now, what are the functions of ciliated cells? What are the functions of ciliated cells? So someone to confirm that you are able to follow, please, up to this point, I will appreciate. If you'll be able to confirm that you are following, I will really appreciate. Are you following? Let me hear from you. Okay. So I haven't received any comment yet. Okay. So of ciliated cells. So the functions, one, of ciliated cells. And before we look at the function, please, maybe the other question that we expect, okay, this one is saying following. Are you able to get me? That is, okay, just joined. All right. Am I audible to your end? We look at the functions, it's very important that we look at where they are found, because some of the questions that you might come across is that you are given a cell, then of course you name it. In the case it's a ciliated cell, one of the follow-up questions that you expect is that where is it found? Since I said these are found where they are found, one of the organisms where they are found in humans. So let's take, as we discussed, in humans. Okay, so where are they found? So one, they are found in the respiratory tract. Okay, they are found in the respiratory tract. Where else aside from the respiratory tract? Where else? So one, they are found in the respiratory tract and also in the oviduct. Okay, now what are the functions? So as you look at the functions, we are going to give the function based on what they do in the respiratory tract and also what they do in what? In the oviduct. So if you are given a question such as what is the function of the ciliated cell, That is an open question. But of course, the question that you expect is that maybe you are given a scenario, and in this case, maybe the parts being mentioned, this, in the case you're given a diagram, the parts being mentioned maybe is the oviduct. And the oviduct, you know that is a reproductive organ in you, that is in women. Okay, so you cannot give the function of the respiratory tract. What I'm trying to say is that they perform different functions in these. Okay, so when you are given a question, be able to tell, is it an open question or is a question that requires me to be specific depending with the organ that I'm being or that is presented. So what do they do in the respiratory tract? So they sweep out mucus containing dust, particles, and germs. So in the respiratory tract, they sweep out dust, they sweep out mucus containing dust, particles, and germs. That is the main functions in the respiratory tract. What about in the oviduct? So in the oviduct, they move the ovum. The ovum, we can put also the egg toward the uterus. So when the egg is produced in the by the ovary, when it is produced, okay, it is pushed into the oviduct by the wave, the ciliated cell. Okay, they are pushed by the ciliated cells. Toward the uterus. That is in the oviduct. Okay. What about adaptations? Now, this is where the confusion comes in now. In terms of adaptation, failure to understand what the term adaptation mean in this case, you're going to miss a point. So adaptation, we're just looking at special features. If we are saying ciliated cells, they sweep out mucus containing dust particles and germs. What are the features that they have that enable them to perform this function? Those are what we call adaptation. So special features that are present, and of course that makes that cell to perform that function. I guess you get this point. Okay, so now one of the special features that enable them to perform the function, that is to sweep out mucus containing dust, particles, and germs, as well as to move the ovum toward the uterus, is that they have cilia. Okay, like we said, cilia is just the cytoplasmic extension here on top. So now these beat in a wave-like motion, moving or sweeping out dust particles. So cilia. Then of course we can talk of high concentration of mitochondria in the cytoplasm. Now you already know that the mitochondria generate energy. So which means these cilia need energy so that they can perform the function effectively. So one of the adaptation is that they have high concentration of mitochondria in the cytoplasm to generate energy for the movement of cilia. So that is very important. And then this is what we can discuss on ciliated cells. So please, if there's a question, you can just type in. I'll be able to read it. But if it's clear, you can also confirm that it's clear so that we can proceed and, of course, look at other cells, other specialized cells. So the question is that, have you gotten the explanation here? Have you gotten the explanation? Okay, so be able to confirm, please. If that is the case, let us proceed looking at another specialized cell. And this one now is called the root hair cell. This one is called the root hair cell. Now, from the name, you can know or you have an idea where it is coming from. So let us look at its function first. So the function of the root hair cell is absorption of water and mineral salts. Absorption of water and mineral salts. Let me emphasize this. As we look at the xylem, some of you might mistaken the function of the xylem and the root hair cell. Remember, here is absorption. We are going to look at the xylem and of course look at what is the function there. Aside from absorbing water, it anchors the plant into the ground. It's part of the roots, and the function of the root is to anchor the plants into the ground. Okay. Now, I'm sure you are able to see this diagram right here. So this is the root hair cell that we can look at. Okay, so this is the structure of the root hair cell. As you can see, it has the cytoplasm, it has the vacuole, which is inside part here, it has the nucleus, it has the mitochondria. These that you are able to see are mitochondria, and as you can see, they are numerous. There are a lot of them, in short. And of course, we should be able to discuss the reason why there are a lot. Okay, so now what are the adaptation? Since we are saying absorption of water and mineral salts for the root hair cell, or anchor the plants into, but the main function here, let us focus on absorption of water and mineral salts. What are the adaptation that the root hair cell has? What are the special features that it has that enable it to absorb water? By the way, this is not, this is called an elongated, so elongated outgrowth. Okay, this is called an elongated outgrowth. Okay, now it has an elongated outgrowth, which is a long extension, which increases the surface area for faster diffusion and absorption of water. Since its function is the absorption of water and mineral salts, so it has a long cytoplasmic, it has a long elongated extension. This enables it to create the large surface area so that more water can be absorbed, and of course mineral salts. Then absence of chloroplast. It has no chloroplast. So these that you are seeing circular, these circles that you are seeing, these small circles here that you are seeing are mitochondria. Okay? So absence of chloroplast to create room for absorption or more absorption. Absorption of what? Water and mineral salts. Okay? So water and mineral salts. So they have absence of chloroplast. High concentration of mitochondria to provide energy for active absorption and transportation of mineral salts. So mineral salts are absorbed and transported by the active transport. Okay, we are going to look at this active transport system. Then they have numerous. They are numerous in short. Okay, there are a lot of them. Root hair cell are a lot of them. Okay, they are numerous to increase the light surface area for absorption of water and mineral salts. So these are the adaptations of the root hair cell. So elongated outgrowth, absence of chloroplast, high concentration of mitochondria, numerous in number. Okay, so these are the ones that we can look at. So about the root hair cell, I think this is what we can look at for a moment. So we can proceed to look at the other type of, specialized cell. So here now we can look at the xylem cell. Those who might be aware, I have a recording where I answered the questions on specialized cell. And this diagram is one of the diagrams that you are going to come across. So now one of the specialized cell that we are going to look at is called the xylem. Now, what are the functions of the xylem? Or what are the functions of the xylem? So it conducts water and mineral salts. So like I said, don't confuse the function of the root hair cell and the xylem. The root hair cell merely absorb water. And now this one conduct, in short, it transport. Okay? So water is transported via the xylem, the root along which water moves from the ground up to the leaves of the plant is the xylem. And of course, it has, it moves upward. Okay, so it moves upward, taking one root. That is very important. Then, aside from moving water, it also mechanical support to the plant. Okay, it plays the role of OIT. Also, its other function is mechanical or pharmacological support to the plants. Okay, as you advance, or let me just put this one across. These xylems, okay, and the other type of cell, they are made from, ensure they are dead cells. Okay. Okay. What are the adaptation of the xylem? So one of the adaptation of the xylem is that its end wall or walls of the neighboring cells are broken to form a continuous tube. Okay, so as you can see, this is the xylem. Okay, this is a xylem vessel. Also, this is a xylem vessel. As you can see, they have some, so they are broken to create the continuous flow of water. And since we said it moves water or it conducts water from the ground up to the leaves. So the end walls of the neighboring cells are broken to form the continuous tube. Then we have absence of protoplasm. Just recently, or just some days ago, is it yesterday? Was it yesterday? Should be yesterday. When we were looking at the functions of the parts of the cell. Okay, and now we looked at protoplasm. Protoplasm, we said, is a living part of the cell, and we said it's made up of the nucleus, the cytoplasm, and that is the nucleus, the cytoplasm, and the cell membrane. Those makes up the what? The protoplasm. Okay. Then the walls of the xylem are lignified, okay, to provide mechanical support. Okay, so they are lignified. So these are some of the adaptation of the xylem. And of course, please, I just hope this diagram is clear to your end so that you are able to, I hope it's clear to your end. Okay. All right. So now, aside from this, let us look at the other type of specialized cells. So now we are going to look at muscle cells as one of the specialized cells. So muscle cells, as the name suggests, you know where they are found. And by the way, I forgot to mention where the root hair cell are found. So the root hair cell are found at the end of the root. Okay, if you have a plant, we have large roots. Now, at the end, those roots that you see, fibrous one, are the root hair. In short, these are microscopic. So at the end part of the roots, that is where you find the root hair cells. So in short, they are found in the roots. Then, of course, the xylem are found in the stem. And of course, we can talk of the leaves. They are found also there and in the roots. Then the muscle cells, what are the function? So muscle cell contraction to produce a movement. So the function of the muscle cell is contraction to produce a movement. Adaptation, they have abundance of mitochondria. So when you hear of mitochondria, just think of increasing the energy or producing the energy. So they have abundance of mitochondria because muscles, we are talking of muscles, the one that enables you to move, the one that enables you to do all activities, they need energy. And this is the reason why they have a lot of mitochondria so that more energy can be synthesized. Then presence of actin and myosin filament in the cytoplasm, which carry out contraction. So the myosin and actin are the ones that enable the muscles to contract. And of course, we're not going to go into details. I think that is biochemistry. Okay. But at the moment, I think we can just, this information is quite enough. And of course, I'm sure you're able to see these diagrams that are here. Okay. We have different types of muscles. We have those that are found in the heart, okay, or the surface of the heart, or those that makes up the heart. Those are called cardiac muscles. And we have those that are found or that join bones and that joins bones, and those are called skeletal muscles. We have smooth muscles that are found in delicate organs or delicate parts of the body, such as the intestine. Those are called smooth muscles. So three types of muscles. We have skeletal muscles, we have cardiac muscles, and we have smooth muscles. Okay. Then, of course, the other part or the other specialized cell that we can look at, we look at the red blood cells. Red blood cells, one of the specialized cells. So what are the function of red blood cells? The function of red blood cells is to transport oxygen and small amount of carbon dioxide. That is the function of red blood cells, so transport oxygen. Then what are the adaptations, which means that enable the red blood cells to transport oxygen? What are the adaptations? What features do they have that enable them to perform this function of transporting oxygen. So they are biconcave in shape, okay? Biconcave in shape. So like you are seeing this one, the 3D, I'm sure this one is clear, the first part here. So they are biconcave. As you can see, there's a halo in the middle there. So all that is to increase the surface area for the diffusion of what? Oxygen. Then presence of hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a pigment where oxygen bind for its transportation. So presence of hemoglobin, which has high affinity for oxygen. Then absence of nucleus. It does not have a nucleus. The red blood cell does not have a nucleus to create room or more room for hemoglobin. So it needs hemoglobin, a lot of it, so that more oxygen can bind to it and of course be transported. So where are the red blood cells found? They are found in the blood vessels. Okay? That is very important to understand. Okay? So you need to know that. Then, of course, you need to know they are found in blood, in short, in blood, in the blood vessels. So let us just say in blood, that is where you find red blood cells. And of course, as we look at cell organization, blood, we are going to classify it as a tissue because it is made up of cells. Okay, so blood is a liquid tissue. Okay, let us look at the other one, which is nerve cells, otherwise known as neurons. What about nerve cells? What are the functions? So nerve cells, if you've ever wondered how come when you touch something, you're able to feel it, okay? When you touch, let's say, the hot object, you're able to withdraw involuntarily without you being aware, you just withdraw. Or you being aware. In this case, we are talking of the nerves are the ones that detect the stimuli. So the function of the nerve cells is just to conduct electric impulse or nerve impulse from one part of the body to another. And of course, you know that nerve impulse is transmitted in one electrical impulse in short. Okay, so conduct electric impulses from one part of the body to the other. We are going to look at nervous system. I think we get to discuss this part in more detail. We are just laying up the foundation. Like I said, this is very important. It's a prerequisite information to understand what we are going to cover. Now, what are the adaptations? So one, presence of dendrites. So dendrites, we are looking at, let me just try to put up a simple drawing here. Dendrites, we are just looking at these spike-like, okay? If this is the nerve cell, then we have spikes, okay? Spikes on the body. So these that you are able to see. So these spikes that you are able to see, these spikes that you are able to see, these are what we call dendrites. So presence of dendrites from end of the neuron to another. Then presence of synaptic knob. So synaptic knob is just the end part of these neurons that link the neuron to the other neuron. Okay. So presence of synaptic knob that link with other neurons. Then presence of nodes of Ranvier. Node of Ranvier, we're just looking at this fat sheath-like or sheath. Okay. As you can see, the way it is like this. So the middle part is axon, then outside there's these parts. These are what we call node of Ranvier. Okay, these are what we call node of Ranvier. And we are going to look at the functions as we go on. So I guess also you're able to see the parts clearly here. So that is basically the functions or the adaptations of the nerve or the neuron. The other one that we can look at white blood cells. The functions of white blood cells is to defend the body against what? Defend the body against infection. Okay? Defend the body against infection. That is the functions. Okay? Defend the body against infection. That is the function of the white blood cells. And now in terms of classifications, okay, examples of white blood cell, let me say. So please, these are not only examples, but for our study, we're going to focus on these two examples of white blood cells, that is phagocytes and lymphocytes. So in this case, let us focus on phagocytes and the lymphocyte. The function of white blood cells defend the body against infection. Examples of white blood cells, we have phagocytes and lymphocytes. So we're going to start by discussing phagocytes. So what about phagocytes? How do they defend? So both types of white blood cell defend the body against infection, but they do it differently. That is what distinguishes them. So now, how does the phagocyte defend the body against infection? So it defends the body against infection by engulfing and digesting germs. So phagocyte defend the body against infection by engulfing and digesting germs, that is foreign bodies. What are the adaptations? They have robbed nucleus, which can make or that makes engulfing of germs easy. Okay? So robbed nucleus. We're going to see the parts as we soon. But let me just try to draw a robbed nucleus the way it looks like. It's more like this one. So they have the robbed nucleus. That makes them easy to engulf germs. In short, they can change shape easily and of course engulf. To engulf is just more like to swallow. Okay? So the way they behave is that the outer part can change the shape. Then if this is the germs, they are able to engulf it, which means it goes inside and of course it returns to its original shape. Then now this nucleus is able to digest these germs that is engulfed and of course remove um, the remaining, okay? Remove the remain from the body of this. But the bottom line here is that defend the body against infection by engulfing and of course digesting foreign bodies. So that's very important. What is the other adaptation? So amoeboid movement, which makes it possible for them to move from one position to another. So here they are able to move in the amoeboid movement, okay? The way amoebas move, okay? I guess you would have to check on how amoebas or amoeba move. So that is how they are able to move as well. And this makes it easy for them to move from one place to the place where they need to defend or to digest the foreign materials. Then we have also what we call the lymphocyte. So the lymphocyte, the function defend the body against infection, but this one by producing antibodies and toxins. Okay? By producing antibodies and toxin. What are antibodies? So antibodies are just looking at proteins that destroy germs or foreign bodies. And of course, antitoxins, we are looking at antipoison. So this one we can look at antipoison, more like antipoison. Anti-poison, which means against the poison. So it neutralizes the poison from the germs. Okay? Or let's say you happen to take some poisonous food, poisonous maybe, okay, drinks. So this one is the one that acts or produces these antibodies or antitoxins to neutralize the poison from the germ. I mean, from to neutralize the poison that might have entered the system. What are the adaptations? So for this one has large nucleus and thin cytoplasm. So these that we have here, the image that we have here, this one is for the phagocyte, as you can see, the robbed nucleus inside here. And this one is for the lymphocyte, as you can see, the large nucleus almost filling in, almost fitting in a cell. Okay? So that is how they are. I guess there's no problem up to this point. So please be able to confirm that you're following loud and clear. You are able to follow. Given the question, you can answer from here. Okay, so the other cell that we can look at is called the guard cell, one of the specialized cells. So now for the guard cell, we are looking at these are pair of cells surrounding the stoma. So these are found normally in leaves, especially at the bottom part of the leaves. Okay, I guess you're aware of this. A leaf looks shiny on top, and of course at the bottom part it looks rough kind of. Okay, so at the bottom, that is where it has these that is where there's a stoma. A stoma is just the opening that is formed by two guard cells. So guard cells, you find them there. And of course, here I'll put them in the turgid form when they are turgid. Okay. All that will be explained as we start looking at that is on photosynthesis. Okay. When we start looking at that is a transport in plants, let me say. So this opening is called the stoma or stomata. Okay. Then these cells around it are called guard cells. So I just wanted to explain that. So as you can see here, these are two guard cells. Then we have the opening there, which is called stoma. So this one is when the guard cells are turgid, or they have absorbed a lot of water. But here, when they are flaccid, okay. So that is something that you need to know, or shrunken. All right, what are the adaptation of the guard cells? So they occur in pairs. These cannot function on this one cannot function on its own. They occur in pairs. Okay? So they occur in pairs, and each cell has a semicircular, or they are curved shape. When turgid, they make the stomata open, but when flaccid or straight or shrunken, they make the stomata what? Close. And this is how the plant regulates the loss of water. Okay, we are going to discuss that as we start looking at transport in plants. Their cell wall are thick around the stoma. So as you can see, the cell wall is the outer part. Each plant cell has a cell wall outside. Now we are saying they are thick around the stoma, which means around this part where they open, around this part, they are thick. Okay? And what is the reason? It makes it possible for the stoma to open when these cells absorb water. Okay? So that is the reason there. Okay, but what is important is that we look at the adaptation and of course the function. Did we look at the functions? So a function controls the size of the stomata. Okay. All right. I guess there's no problem up to this point. The other part that we can look at are the phloem cells. Okay, or phloem vessels. So for phloem cells, the function is to transport manufactured food from one part of the plant to another. Now, the phloem cell and the xylem cell makes up what we call the vascular bundle. So when we discuss the phloem cell, I think it's fair to discuss also the xylem cell. When we discuss the xylem cell, it's fair also to discuss the phloem cell. So for the phloem cells, the function is to transport manufactured food from part of the plants where they are manufactured to the part where they are used. Okay, so this is happening in the leaves. You know, plants manufacture food by photosynthesis. So when it is manufactured there, it is transported to the parts where it is needed. Manufactured food, we are talking of glucose. So also plants utilize glucose for growth and other functions. So now what are the functions? I mean, what are the adaptations? The end walls of the neighboring cells are perforated. The end walls of the neighboring cells are perforated. Look at this, perforated, which means they are, I don't know how to put this one, but I guess you get the thing here. I've learned out, I think, I don't know the term that I can use alternatively in place of perforated. Okay. Then protoplasm is partially lost or partly lost, leaving behind some cytoplasmic strands. So as you can see, the protoplasm is partially lost. So which means some part of the protoplasm is not present. So leaving the cytoplasmic strands. Okay. Then presence of a companion cell, which supply phloem cell with xylem and which supply phloem cells with what? With energy. Okay? So that is very important. I think this part was not, or enzymes, I mean, not xylem. So presence of companion cell, which supply phloem cell with enzymes, and ATP, which is the storage form of energy. So that is the, or these are the adaptations of the phloem. Okay, so let us look at the parasite cell, and this is a typical plant cell. Okay, this is a typical plant cell. So before we even start looking at this, please. So all these cells that we've discussed, you should know where they are found, which organ or which part of the plants or animals where they are found. I've just given you a task to do. That is very important. Then parasite cell, what are the functions? Carry out photosynthesis. Carry out photosynthesis. So a parasite cell is a typical plant cell that we refer to as a plant cell. What are the adaptation? They have high concentration of chloroplast. As you can see, this green circular part or vesicles. Okay, so high concentration of chloroplast. And what is the function of chloroplast? Absorption of light energy used for photosynthesis. So high concentration of chloroplast and photosynthesis, by the way, take place not chloroplast. I think I should have indicated that chloroplast contain chlorophyll, which absorb light energy. But you have to know that photosynthesis takes place in the chloroplast of the plant. Then the cells are longer vertically than horizontally, and this allows the chloroplast to migrate upward or downward as the light intensity changes so that they are not damaged by excessive light. So that is one of the adaptation. Okay, so that is what we can look at in terms of cell specialization. But here is cell organization. How are they organized now? We are saying a cell is a basic unit of life. Now, from a cell, what happened? So now, the organization starts with a cell, then now it moves to a tissue, then now from a tissue it goes to the organ. I think I've seen this question. I will do post the question if I come across the question. I think there was a question, just recent papers. So from cell, tissue, from tissue, I mean from cell, tissue, from tissue, organs, from organs it forms the system, from the system now, an organism. So that is the cell organization. That is how it is. Okay? So now what is a cell? A cell is a basic unit of life. What about a tissue? A tissue is just a group of specialized cells having same structures, shape. Okay? That is what we call a tissue. So it's just a group of cells having same structure and of course a shape. And these, they perform same function. You can add so. So what are the examples of tissues? You have the epidermis, you have the parasite tissue. The parasite tissue is made up of parasite cells. Spongy tissue is made up of spongy cells. And of course, blood. Like I said, blood is a fluid tissue. So blood is made up of cells, okay, and the fluid. That is what it is made up of. But in this case, since we are looking at our cells, so we can talk of the cells that are found in blood. Okay, so these are examples of tissue. Then organs are a group of tissues performing specific functions. So organs are groups of tissues. So you see, group of cells, tissue. Group of tissue, organs. What are some of the organs? Leaves, liver, kidney. We have brain, eyes, ears, kidney, and lungs. So I've seen a question where you are given a list, and now you are asked to select the organ, you are asked to select the tissue. So you are supposed to know this in the case that question comes. I think I've seen such a question in an exam. So you should be aware, or you might be given, let's say, a multiple choice. Which one of the following is a tissue? Then you have skin, you have blood, you have brain. So you should be able to tell in other words. Then a system is a group of organs performing specific functions, e.g., or examples of a system. We have digestive system, excretory system, endocrine system, nervous system, digestive system. Do we have it here? Yes. We can talk of the integumentary system. There are quite a number of systems that we can talk of. Even the circulatory system, I think, is missing here. Lymphatic system. There are quite a number. Okay. Then we have the organism. So the organism is made up of different systems. In our body, let's say humans, we have different types of system. We have excretory system, we have digestive system, endocrine system, nervous system, circulatory system. Is it the circulatory system? You have an integumentary system. So the system now makes up the organism. I hope you will not be able to forget this part. So that is it about cell specialization and cell organization. This is the part that you might look at it and of course underrate it, but when it comes to exams, this is the part that you are not going to find missing in an exam. In each and every exam, I think there's one question on this part. So please, since we've learned, make sure that you go through. Okay, you go through. That is after you've learned. It's very important to study after you've learned, without you in short, you study immediately. You're from learning. I think that is the easiest way that you can have in terms of understanding. Okay, and of course, please be able also to design a study timetable. Don't just study randomly. It doesn't help because you find that other subjects you don't like them. So what do you do? But you need the marks. So put up a timetable, at least you'll be forced to study even the subjects that you don't like. And of course, please, those that are interested to join us for online lessons, those that are doing GCE, that is 2025, those that are doing IGCSE, Cambridge, those that are doing A-level, and those that are doing internal, okay, that is ECZ. You are free to join our online lessons, okay? The timetable, I'm sure most of you are aware of our timetable. It is very suitable for everyone, whether you work, you do business. I think you can fit in our timetable. So please, if you are interested to join us, you can just contact the number 0976 402563. Okay, and we'll be able to connect. Otherwise, see you in the next one as we continue learning. Okay.